the bottom of it with your host, Joshua Moriarty.
Hello, welcome to episode 65 of The Bottom of It. Pleasure to be back. It's been a minute, still trying to deal with podcasting in this post-apocalyptic world that we're living in. What's news my way, to be honest? Not really that much. Melbourne is still in lockdown. I think we're the city with the most amount of days in lockdown in the world. Crazy how that's what my sister was telling me anyway. I believe it. There's been a lot of that going on. I've definitely been bending a few of the rules. Man or a woman or a them or a they, whoever we are, we need to stay sane. Got to do what you got to do. So hey, break a rule. I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want. Actually, I put out the first single from my new Joshua Moriarty solo record. Melancholia is the record. The first single, called Let Me Down Easy, is out and available all over the places. Go and give it a spin. I'd appreciate it. All right, on to today's guest. It's artist extraordinaire Luke Steele, someone I've admired for a very long time. I remember getting into Luke's music when he released the Sleepy Jackson record, Personality. One was a spider, one was a bird, back in 2006. I love the vocal sound. There were so many different layers and tones. It's a very, very slick record. I really, really liked what he did. It seemed very unique to me. And then the first Empire of the Sun record comes out a few years later, and just sort of seemed to appear out of nowhere. Here was this project that felt so fully formed in its concept and in its grandness. The videos were all very rich with wild imagery and big colors and costumes. I remember being immediately sort of taken with it. I remember we were all sort of sharing it around because it hadn't quite erupted at that point, but it was something that, you know, everyone who was in the scene at that point was very, really into. And yeah, really dug the change in direction for Luke, and I think also for Nick Littlemore from Penal, seeing what he could do as well. It was very, very special. So yes, when Empire of the Sun started touring, it was right around the same time as the first Miami Horror record, so we inevitably ended up playing a bunch of the same festivals and getting to meet and hang out and have a few drinks and whatnot. Luke has always been a real dude. It's always been a pleasure to catch up and talk music and share ideas. We got to hang a bunch more when Miami Horror opened for Empire of the Sun for a handful of dates across North America, which was very cool. I thought we just sort of talk about that in the podcast. I'm trying to remember when that was, 2011 maybe, something like that. Now Luke teamed up with Daniel Johns from Silverchair a few years back for their project called Dreams, and they released their debut record No One Defeats Us in 2018, and now Luke is working on his new project H3000 with producer Jarrad Rogers, who actually, if you didn't know, musical Small World, and from Talanover used to have be in a project with Jarrod Rogers. So there you go. Everyone seems to know each other. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. So H3000, Luke and Jarrod's project together. It's another very conceptual, sort of musical endeavor. It's the year 3000, and Luke 18 and Mr. Rogers are the two protagonists exploring what it is to be human in the future. It's got Luke's trademark vocals, but there's definitely a shift in sort of direction with Jarrod Rogers and the production hot seat. I hate describing music. I don't want to sound like a 2-bit radio DJ talking about, it's kind of got like electronic vibes and really digging this one. No, I'm not going to do all that. Take a listen. The record comes out, I think actually today when I'm putting this out. So congratulations, fellas. Very, very well done. Congrats on the release. So yes, anyway, let's get into it. Enough chit chat. Here is my conversation with the one and only Luke Steele, episode 65 of The Bottom of It. Enjoy. Cool. That will be enough.
I love
that's
it.
Like that's the modern Spielberg clap of like the directorial thing with take one.
It's so good. It's classic Muso podcast. It's so good.
So where are you at the moment?
I'm in Northern California.
Oh, right. Did you come back for the end of the planet, or you've just been there the whole time?
No, so when the pandemic hit, I was in Los Angeles, which I've been for 10 years, and about 2 months in, it was so heavy, it was so tough to take. Obviously, all the stuff happened with, poor George, and America erupted, and Santa Monica was just, turned into a stomping ground. It was just out of control. And Yeah, it was just so hard for the whole family and the kids and everything. So we bought a ranch up in Northern California near Mount Shasta, and we moved up, and I've grown a beard, and I've become a man, apparently.
So the bearded version of you for the H3000 videos, that's the new bushman Luke Steele.
Yeah, well, that was at the start. Now I'm
Is it
really
even bigger?
now I'm really out there, and now
Whoa.
I'm fighting off bears and all that kind of stuff. You know.
Can you chop wood very easily?
Oh yeah, chopping wood is nothing. Now it's all about bear proofing and
That's legitimate that you actually do have to do that, don't you?
you know, looking out for the snakes and scorpions and getting a gun and all that kind of stuff. You know.
How many guns have you got?
Oh, not yet, but I
That's the next step to becoming an American man.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've never had a gun. I went shooting in Uzi when we were on tour in Las Vegas, which was pretty cool. I shot it at an Osama bin Laden target that they had for me.
God, yeah,
It was terrifying.
Yeah, I've only been once in New Zealand, actually, at the shooting range there, but I don't think I could have one because, you know, as artists and musos, we're so extremists, you know. So, someone won't like a song and then you're out shooting a bunch of squirrels or something.
Phil Spector always had the gun in the studio, didn't he? That was his thing.
I remember when I was working with, who was it, Jonathan Burnside, and he said when he was working with Ramones, he just held a gun to their head and said, play that song again and again, and they did it for 6 hours. They played the same song.
Oh, no. That's really scary. I don't want anyone to ever point a gun at me. I'm going to try and avoid that at all costs.
Yeah.
So, right, you didn't make it back to Australia. That sounds kind of nice. Just escape the crazy part of LA and take off for a while.
Yeah, yes and no. You know, like Northern California is kind of the opposite of Southern California.
Yes.
Maybe I think that's probably the nicest way to say it, you know.
I haven't spent much time in Northern California, really. Or just LA.
I think it just gets wilder, you know, like the rollerblades and you know, and the Pamela Andersons, you know, stay on the beach, and then you head more into the bear country, into the snow, into the guns, into the wild. It's quite Wild West, you know. It's the Wild West of California.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, it's been great coming up here, but you know, we being through such a time as this, you know, and not being able to get back with all the flight cancellations and restrictions, it's heartbreaking. You know, I miss so much of the mother country, you know.
Yeah, I get it. I wanted to go back to New Zealand just to see my brother and his kids, and I missed my little window because everything just closed again between Australia and New Zealand. There was a tiny moment there, and then that's over as well. It's fucked. It's very annoying. Hey, how old's your daughter? Must be quite I feel like the last time I saw her, okay, I was looking back. Miami Horror we did those shows with the Empire of the Sun in 2011. That was ages ago. It's been 10 years.
Oh my God. Yeah, so she's 12 now and my boy is 7.
Right. I see. The boy I completely missed. I didn't even know that happened, but I remember your daughter, obviously, because she was on tour, and I remember we were all sort of dancing backstage with her. It was really fun.
That was
sweet.
in Canada, right?
Yes. I'm looking here. Canada. Yeah. Sound Academy in Toronto. I can't really remember that show too well. I don't think it's because I was drunk or anything. It's just a lot of information piled in. And then I remember at the House of Blues. No, was it House of Blues? No, Congress Theatre in Chicago.
Oh, man.
And we had our booking agent there, and he got super wasted, and you guys had to ask him to leave the backstage.
Oh, man. It's funny. I remember the Canada one, yeah, really clearly, because I remember I brought her on stage. I'm pretty sure it was that night and she was right into Toy Story, and right in the middle of the show I brought her on, and she just did the Woody thing, like the hand flicking thing.
Yeah, you were playing. You had. I think you played me a song from Gene Wilder from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that night that I'd never heard before or didn't remember. It was very special. I do remember that.
Oh man, God, it's heartbreaking. Hey, looking back now with what's happened, because those times are so precious.
Yeah, that's very true. I remember in Chicago you were playing me new Sleepy Jackson songs as well.
Wow.
You had a bunch of new demos, but I don't know are they still around? Buried deep in the iTunes somewhere, probably.
Oh man, I've come back to the record and we've been working back on it again. So I reckon
it may happen.
Yeah, you know what it's like. Hey, you don't want to say too much, but it's sounding pretty sick now. But I don't know. I really don't know about anything anymore. Really. You just gotta go in the studio and hope for the best, really.
Have you got a good studio set up at your new place?
It is really good, Over the years, I've collected such good gear, I have, my Telefunken mic, or I have two of them. Like one is a backup, and then, the knee pre's and the tube techs and all that stuff, and it's kind of I have all the integral stuff I need now. I've kind of got rid of the fat, and it's just like a solid studio now.
You sort of just eventually, as the years go by, you do get rid of all the crap, and you just actually like inevitably become quite a good producer without even really meaning to. That's what I've found. It's like now I'm actually like half decent at making songs myself, which never used to be the case, but all just sort of out of time and necessity and just fucking around making demos until they somehow start sounding good on your own.
Yeah. God, it's so cool talking to you, man.
Yeah.
It's so true, because it takes so long to get a palette, I've realized. Like, until you get that that compressor, that thing, all right, that great acoustic with that mic, and then how those fit together, and then, it's such a journey, but God.
Well, you would have seen a lot of hot guys over the, hot people doing, you would have learned a lot of tricks over the years from some greats, I imagine. And that obviously really helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does, because I'm always been a sucker for, I want the latest and greatest, I want this, but as you get older, you realize with music, it's such a paradox. Like you look at Daft Punk and they're using a Behringer, mixer or something. So it doesn't, you have to find your own voice, and your own things that suit you, it's funny. It's such a learning thing. But if you have the open mind, then everyone and every situation becomes your teacher.
I think you do have the open mind as well, don't you, Luke? It seems like that's your sort of, you have that ability to sort of just go wherever it needs to go, which I don't think everyone can do.
I think if you're in the creative business, but you have to be, like the minute you close your mind, you're dead, because I think it might even be a proverb, but it's like, it is a proverb. You can't, like, fear of man's opinion is disabling. Like you can't fear what people say, because people, like Rick Rubin said it as well, like you can't change like people's interpretation, and why would you ever want to?
Yeah, I guess that's it. So you think you do have that fearlessness of not ever giving a shit what anyone thinks about anything that you do, or sometimes it comes in, or is you sort of just always able to let that go?
Oh no, I think as I get older, I think more about what people think. Like I'm kind of, I don't have the fear about their opinion, and I'm actually interested. Like I show a song to my kids and they go, this is a really great song.
Okay.
I love this chorus. And I'll play another one and they'll just sort of wander out of the room. But that is really, like if you can take it, like that's a really powerful message, what's instinctually great, what they love, and you can't change people's interpretation if it moves them, great, but at the end of the day, but it has to be right for you, what you want to present,
Yeah, I guess that's it. I definitely think I can take the criticism these days from people, like, because you sort of realize that it's just another song. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're terrible, but you don't have to like personally take it as a huge affront if someone tells you that they don't like your music or something that you've done. It's like, yeah, I mean, whatever, right? It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
There's been a few bands over the years of doing this podcast who I've sort of mentioned that I don't like, or their music that I don't like, but it's like, I got nothing against the people in that band. It's not like that they're fucking assholes or something for creating music that I don't enjoy. It's just that your ears don't titillate or sort of respond to that direction. So I guess that's just the way it is. But yeah, that's interesting with the fearlessness in the studio. I reckon you've got more fearlessness than I do, Luke. I reckon I sort of get a little constrained and a bit scared sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny thing, because people are vicious, They'll say things, and if you can get past that, then you actually become stronger, It's.
Do you find it sort of depends on the collaborators that you're working with, though? Like, you pick people to be around that will encourage that side of you? Like, if you're in a studio with someone you don't know that well and they're giving you weird vibes, does it make you shut down, or you can personally always sort of fight through that on your own?
Yeah, well, now I'm starting to just, I get asked so much, from people around the world to collab and that, but as I get older, I just need to wait for that calling, where it's right, because when you enter into something, you have to be, things have to be right with the project, so I kind of tend to pick very carefully and wisely who I work with now.
Yeah, sure. And with Jarrad, so what, you guys met in Los Angeles? Jarrad Rogers, ladies and gentlemen. That's the man we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, so I was finishing the Dreams record with Daniel Johns at Henson Studios, and I asked M-Phases, another great...
I know Mark. Yeah, Mark's very, very good at what he does.
Phases is just such a gun, and then he came in and he brought Jarrad along, so we got two producers for the price of one, and I think because we'd never met Jarrad, he had something to prove, so he went upstairs and all he had was, was some pencils and pens, and he basically sampled that and made a beat on a couple of Dreams tracks we needed help on, and came back down 2 hours later, and we were just floored what he did. It was...
Right.
He kind of is such a great producer, the way he busses things and compresses them, like just little things that make really big impacts, like putting different plugins in the different chains and side chaining things to auxiliaries and things. And
yeah, all that super nerdy production stuff. I love watching those guys do that, because it's always slightly beyond me. Like, I can do a few of those things, but there's another level sometimes, isn't there?
Like, he's nerdy, but he's pretty simple. Like, he works in Pro Tools. Like, he's not in Ableton, and he just did some stuff that just was amazing. So yeah, after the Dreams project wound up, he sent me a track just out of the blue kind of thing, and I just instantly had this vocal that was for the track Running. And we did that, and then we went to the next track, and then we just made it, I can't really remember much, and I love it when records happen like that, as you know.
Totally.
They're the best records when you can't remember too much of it.
Yeah, the quicker, if you can do it quickly and it feels right immediately, that's the fucking gift from the gods, that one.
Ugh, God.
Do you have to labor over the lyric part of it? Or that sort of came quickly as well?
Nah, as I've got older, it's like I just have too many lyrics, you know. It's like, how can be the best way to say it, you know?
Are you writing them down, you sort of in just day-to-day life as scribbling things down lyrically without melody?
Now I've changed my lyric writing. I'm constantly writing lyrics now, like,
wow, okay.
Like someone will say something on the TV in an interview, or, you know, like just yesterday, like someone said, "Where you been?" "Probably out seeing the world." You know? Or my son today said, "I feel like your shadow," you know, and it was like,
that's a good one.
Yeah, just stuff that people say. I'm more perceptive now than ever. Like, I think when I was younger, I didn't really realize how easy a song could be created. I found it really hard. But now, songs are just, like Dylan would say, like, songs sort of just fly in the room like a bird, you know, you just got to kind of grab it. And
yeah, I definitely, I find the music side of that not difficult at all. The lyric side, yeah, I think maybe it's like trying to find a really cohesive direction always with songs. You know, is that how you work? Like, or are they just lots of fragmented potential ideas and lines just thrown together, or they, you know, you try and go for something cohesive, or maybe it's different every time. I don't know. You tell me.
No, well, it's always a theme, you know, like Flames was about the confirmation of when you die. When someone dies, there's a confirmation that's sent, you know, pretty much like after the Great Flood, you know, God sent the rainbow and said this will be the covenant, you know. It's kind of like after everyone, a lot of people die, you know, in the last so many years, and every time there's, you know, the lights will flicker, or, you know, there's a rainbow or something happens, and, you know, that was about, you know, creating the great divide that all of us are going to do.
But so you had that concept before, or the music inspired that when you heard it, or once you started opening your mouth to sing the melody, it sort of just came together? Or you can't remember?
No, a bit of both, but, you know, a lot of these songs about the issues of the heart, and I think being in America when we were making this record, it was just so heavy, like mass shootings all the time. There's there was hundreds and hundreds of mass shootings in the year we wrote this, and you don't ever hear about, you know, any of them, you know, because there's just too much to report on.
Yeah.
And then the amount of kidnappings, like a couple 100,000 people were kidnapped, like just in California, you know, and then sold off into slavery. And then there's, you know, the epidemic of drugs, which is, you know, there were so many issues. A lot of these songs about the issues of the heart that start with small things. You know, it starts with a small virus and then it becomes mutated, or it starts with it's just a small spark and then it grows. It's not like you wake up and you go, today I'm gonna, you know, hit the drugs, get the AK-47, hit the Wells Fargo, and then, you know, go on a mass shooting spree. It begins from somewhere else, you know, and that's, you know, that's a lot of these tracks are about, you know. It doesn't happen in a second. It happens over time, racism, all that. It's something that's embedded that then grows into something bigger.
Do you sort of like that? You feel like an obligation to, you know, like you're talking about Dylan, like sing about or comment about the state of affairs of the world? Does it feel timely at this moment to be doing that, or you just sort of just follow what your musical intuition is telling you usually?
Oh God, I don't think anyone really cares what I say, but I think
that's not true, Luke.
Sometimes the only way to say something is through a song, you know, and it's the only way you can. Like in America, you're voiceless, you know. You can talk forever, but it doesn't matter. It's yeah. it's all a paradox, you know. Your voice box is a paradox. You can talk, but then it's deflected. It's kind of a really strange climate, you know.
Well, if you sort of, you know, you're one of those people who tries to use Twitter or Instagram and all those things to be raising awareness of issues, which some people do. I mean, I personally don't, because I'm like, I have political opinions and ideas, but I just don't feel a need to be. I'm not Zach from Rage Against the Machine, you know. That's not like my mission. I'm not the Clash, and I think, you know, we're looking at some of the projects you've been involved with. They seem just more about. They're about beautiful things and escapism and creating fantasy worlds, and I guess you incorporate all those ideas into the art that you make, probably without needing to actually get on Instagram and say, hey, everyone, vote for Bernie Sanders or some shit like that, you know?
Well, you got to be careful, you know. Like, you know, when Trump got in, like I said some things, and like, you know, people say some things like, I'm going to come and I'm going to kill you, you know, like people.
So what did you say?
You know, I posted something that, yeah, it's just, you got to be careful about what you say, because it's as a person who's, you know, a public figure who has a power of influence in a country like America, you got to be careful, you know, because people will track you down and murder you, you know, and that happens quite a bit, you know. So
yeah, it's fucking does. It's so sad.
Yeah. So yeah, I sort of refrained from kind of going too deep in that, because it's, you know, it's you're kind of voiceless anyway, so just got to keep your nose clean, you know, and just do your art, make your music, and just.
Yeah, sure. I'd never sort of thought about it in that way, especially with regards to America and people actually hunting you down. That is a more terrifying side of it. I think just in Australia, it's like people more afraid of just being cancelled, of having an opinion that sort of differs with whatever is agreed with at the time, and losing your, you know, vocational opportunities more so than actually your life being in danger. Yeah, that's wild. Hey, would you ever do a Luke Steele solo record where it's not a band with another, you know, like a duo or something like that, where you're just telling, I don't know, what would it even be?
It's so weird you said that. I just finished one, hey? But like,
oh, okay.
But yeah, it's just, I just wound it up, so hopefully that'll drop after this. But, you know, the label and that, no one wants to talk about too much of other projects to confuse the situation, you know?
Yeah, okay. But that is happening.
Oh,
wow.
Man, it sounds so good, and it's just...
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's done. It's in the can, and... Yeah.
Great.
Just me on the guitar, and it's kind of, I don't know, early Beck, Dylan-esque kind of thing, and...
Did you get a bunch of red hot musos to join you on it, or it's mainly you?
It's me. I recorded the pedal steel with the 72-year-old pedal steel player in Nashville, who's
nice,
the guy who played on James Taylor's records, and
you got the guy.
Yeah, and then a percussionist in LA. So it's like just me and the two other guys.
Cool. Oh, I look forward to hearing it.
Oh man, I can't wait to. We got to do an interview on that one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. That sounds fun. Hey, you interviewed Cornelius, I saw.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I mean, yeah, it was about Point, wasn't it?
Yeah. God, man.
Fuck. What a record.
I know. God.
How did that come about? Because he did a remix for Empire of the Sun, is that right?
Yeah, well, we were connecting in Japan. We did a couple of trips to Japan for the Empire record. And he did some stuff on the new Empire record, but yeah, we haven't, that sort of hasn't really come to fruition.
Okay, so that's the new Empire record, number 4?
Yeah, but it's sort of, you know, we spent a couple of years on it, and it's still sort of a bit confusing, you know. It might be a page one rewrite. But, yeah, I don't know, like, yeah, I've met him a few times, and then I got asked to interview him for the remaster.
Does he speak English, or does he usually have a translator?
Yeah, translator.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I know a few people who have had, I think Kimber was working with him or something, and she had a translator as well. Yeah, sure. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, so I was in downtown at this dope place, and yeah, I got to ask all about that, and yeah, God, it was kind of crazy, hey, hearing about all the stuff from that record, you know?
Yeah, that's one of the greats. I've been listening to it again recently. I just always go back to him because there's just certain people, isn't there, that's always excellent. Some you go back to and you're like, I remember this being better 6 years ago.
Oh.
It hasn't held up the same.
Oh, Cornelius, but bloody hell.
Yeah, it was nice going back listening to the Empire of the Sun records. I hadn't done that for a while.
Oh,
man, still sounding really good.
Oh, cheers, man.
Still sounding very good. What were you saying about TikTok with Walking on a Dream? What's that about? It's like a billion plays. Was that what you're saying? I saw something on your Instagram.
I think it's at like 3 billion now, like the hashtag Walking on a Dream. Yeah, it's just gone so stupid. If you can reach out to TikTok and work out how we can turn that into proper money, that'll be good, Josh.
Yes. So how does that doesn't get you anything? Like, there's no royalty. TikTok are just pocketing all the cash from TikTok for everything themselves.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, hey. Like, I've been talking to publishers about it, and I don't know. It's a hazy situation, the whole royalties, you know.
That is a funny one. I mean, look, it's great for your song and your brand and for people around the world knowing it. And it's like, yeah, cool, that's fine. Yeah, I'm happy with that. But also, if TikTok is like a fucking multi-billion-dollar company, can you just throw a dog a bone, eh? Yeah, I'm sure that, but they probably won't know. I can see them just trying to weasel their way out of anything, like every other one of those tech giants, just pulling the same scam.
Yeah, like us musos can live on 0.0003 cents, right, Josh?
Yeah.
You know, like how much does a sandwich cost? Like that must cost 0.0004 cents now, right?
Yeah, that's right. Look, I love it. I love getting my my really, really minuscule APRA checks for some song that you've seen that's had millions of plays. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I think I was talking to a friend about it. We decided that the richest person in music, if we're just going to, it should be Paul McCartney, probably, right? It's like, okay, maybe it should be the Stones or something, but let's just say Paul McCartney. He's probably written the most, known songs of someone who's still alive. But definitely the richest person in music is the guy who owns Spotify. It's not going to be Paul McCartney. It's some tech, like Swedish tech nerd. It's not fair.
God, I know. When you say it like that, you just get angry, right?
Yeah, you do. But I don't know what to do. Like, I remember Tool sort of didn't put their record on there for ages, but I don't know, what difference does it make, like, holding out?
But remember the dickhead owner of Spotify came out and said, oh, you musos, you got to do more than a record every 2 years. It was like, God, someone ought to go and punch that guy in the balls really hard.
Did he say that? I didn't see.
Yeah, that was
like,
his.
mate,
that was his big statement. It was like, oh yeah, that's probably why your New Music Friday is so crap, because you got no idea about music.
Fuck. Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't feel like he's even allowed, shouldn't even be allowed to comment on music. Stuff about.
I think they probably capped that after he said that. It was like, oh,
yeah,
people know the words out. You don't know anything about music. Shut up. Go back to your hookers and your blow and your bloody jet skis.
I asked this to some people, do they have like an end goal, a time where they think they can retire from music because they've done everything? I don't feel like you would ever have that. You've always got a new project, a new idea on the go, don't you?
Well, vision, like without a vision, the people die, and that's what's so important for a person in their life. They have to have vision. If you don't have vision, you're nothing. I spoke to my father yesterday, and he's like mid-70s and he's still talking about like concerts and shows and cutting the next record and musicians he wants to work with. And it was like, oh my God, you got a strong vision, and, it's healthy for the mind,
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep, like Einstein said, life is like riding a bike to keep, to keep the balance, you got to keep moving forward,
Yeah.
So you got to have something on the horizon and keep moving. So yeah, I think I'll just work as long as I can, and then
yeah, right to the bitter end.
Yeah,
I kind of feel the same. I don't feel like it's ever going to stop. There's always a new song.
It's so great, but right, like why would you want to stop it? Really, it's so beautiful when you have that song, and
yeah, I feel like it's quite addicty as well. Like I have a bit of a like musical addiction where you've just got to keep, you get a new one, you listen to the shit out of it, you do the mix with your mates, you play it, you record it and everything. You're like, wow, it's the best, and then you sort of suck all the sweetness out of it sometimes, like a lolly or a piece of chewing gum, and then you're like, okay, that was awesome, but now what's the next one?
Yeah.
And it sort of never ends.
Yeah. But it's like a blueprint. Like I always respect Kanye West, how he's really bold with his statements, and that's the time. That's where he was at that time. And I like how he does something and it drops when it happens, It's quite, there's a lot of zeal and passion, it's quite...
Do you find you have that ability to do that? Like, or do you get constrained by labels and things getting in the way? Like,
there's always... I think when you're bigger, like someone like that with you can do what you want, but, obviously where I'm at, you have to plan things so it doesn't just get eaten by the information world monster, You have to plan it out and make sure. So, but yeah, try and keep as close to when you did it so you can look back and go, oh, that was that phase. And I love that when you can go, that was that record I did in that phase, and I was that person, and then I went here. It's such a beautiful thing.
Have you ever felt any sort of embarrassment or anything looking back on any photos, videos, or anything from the past? Or no shame?
Like there's always things, but, that's what makes you, right?
Yeah, I think there's no point in ever really having any regrets. I think, like, looking back at like when I'm a teenager, there's a few things that I'm kind of like, oh, that was pretty daggy. But then past a certain point, I feel like past about like 28, when I look back at most of my fashion choices or anything, I'm just like, oh, that was cool. Fuck it. Like, even if it's like a bit daggy now, at least you knew you were really into it at the time. Yeah. Like if the passion was there, then it's cool, right? Like if you believed it and you meant it, then there's nothing to really be ashamed of.
Yeah, and I think especially this time that we're in right now, I think I've noticed more than ever, everyone's life is a million miles away from the next person's, Like what a memory you have, I have no idea about, and what I have, you have no idea about. It's just what people have their own happiness, Like I have memories of being in Hawaii and there's the sunset going down and feeling the warm breeze, or being in Lithuania or the border of Belarus and, the promoter saying don't go across that line or you get shot. There's certain things that every single person has, which is their own memories in their mind that no one else has. And yeah, it's quite amazing.
Hey, what song do you never need to hear ever again? Not one of yours, but by somebody else. When it comes on the radio, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, not this again.
Oh, bloody hell. What about, you know that Lady Gaga one, the new one, the Rain on Me or whatever?
Oh, shit, I haven't heard the new one.
No, it was, I think that was last year. It was the bloody horrible song, but obviously, because, you know, you've got 10 billion people paying $10 billion, it becomes like a Billboard #1 or something. But it was her and Ariana Granola, and it was just a bloody tragedy of a song.
Right. So one of the big pop ones that actually was just crap and only does well because they force it down your throats.
But hey, we've been there, so whatever. That's that's the music industry.
Yeah, that is definitely it. I mean, I was sort of some of the previous answers. Well, actually, these are some of mine. Danger Zone. You know Danger Zone from the Tom Cruise Top Gun film? I don't like that one.
Oh, but that's not really up there. Never want to hear again.
It came on Gold 104 in Melbourne on the radio the other day, and I was like, I don't know if I need to hear Danger Zone again. And the other one I'm getting pretty tired of is Eye of the Tiger. What do you reckon?
Ugh, Rocky films, come on. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know it's true because it's associated with Rocky, isn't it?
I met Rocky. We played Coachella. I smashed the guitar, and Rocky caught the Rocky. He grabbed the guitar neck. He caught it.
What was Rocky doing? Was he just side of stage at your gig?
No, he was in the front pit at Coachella, and then when I smashed it, the neck fell down, and then Rocky was there and he held it up, and you could see his muscle bulging, and we got a photo with him with my guitar.
I didn't expect you to say that. I like that. That's like Danny Harrison, George Harrison's son. He's good friends with Mark Hamill from Star Wars, but he just calls him Luke Skywalker. He never calls him Mark Hamill. It's the same thing. It's like, we met Rocky.
Man, it's so cool.
That's all you need to say. Is there like a musical... Have you got like an ethic or an ethos that you always sort of have to try and live by when creating? Is there something you like that has to be in there for you when making music? A part of your spirit, or like there's something that titillates you in a particular way?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that there's got to be that gravitation. Hey, like this morning I woke up and I had this, concept for a Tom Waits kind of thing, and it was a.
This is the beard and the bushman.
Yeah, like I was going there, but then things need to marinate, over time. So it's, yeah. It's, yeah. I'm always like with music, it's like time. It's like, I've always say to people like young artists and producers and stuff, like, you have to listen to music in different states, because your ear, it's just like any other part of the body, it changes and adapts to what, the weather's doing, how you're feeling. Are you tired? Are you excited? Do you feel blessed? Do you feel... So, yeah, the music has to keep gravitating to you, like, the more you come back to it. So that's the stuff that I put in the, like... Yeah. This is this is a category that, like, to keep an eye on and keep working on,
Yeah, I remember I interviewed Nick Littlemore, and he was saying, definitely with Empire of the Sun, he's like, you're always trying to capture that particular feeling. There is a sound and a feeling to what you guys do, and if it's right or wrong by whether it's actually making you feel that special something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny that. It's like, we had so many times like that where you think you're finished, and then it's like, I want to try it at a 20 BPM slower, and you're like, oh, God. Just spent 2 months doing the vocals and finishing everything. But then it's like...
Yeah, well, that was without you, wasn't it? Then you guys put the music video version out, and it was a different version of the song. It was the faster one with the, like, whirly sort of more so than the slow jam version.
Yeah, and I'll be around. Started as this full UK kind of pumping kind of track, and
Right.
and one day when we're in Hollywood, he was like, "Oh, let's bring it down." But when someone has the passion, you have to honor their, vision and go with them. Like if they didn't really think about it and mean it, they wouldn't have said it. And especially someone like Nick, he's a pretty intuitive guy and pretty instinctual, So, yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I kind of like it when someone else is willing to take charge in that way and you can just be the musical vessel for someone else's vision. I love when someone tells me, no, cut a little bit less on that bass. Or that chord's good, but try, move it. Yeah. That's a real joy for me, is having someone actually sort of dictate it for you. Especially when you're in a band with them,
Yeah. No, I think that's what he's so great at. He's kind of clear about his whole thing.
Yeah. Thank you, Luke. Pleasure to talk to you. It's been fucking ages.
Oh, awesome to chat, man. And yeah, really great, man, to catch up.
Oh, thank you, Luke. It was a pleasure. Very special to catch up again. It had been a long time. I really enjoyed chatting with him. What a legend. So yes, the H3000 self-titled record is now out and available. Go and take a listen. All the places, you know where that is. Congrats, boys. It sounds great. I've also included some links in the podcast description to some H3000 related content, as well as Empire of the Sun and a few other bits and pieces that Luke has been involved with. All right, I think that'll do it. Pleasure to be back. Thanks for joining me. More episodes coming very soon. I finally figured out how to do this podcast thing in the middle of a world global pandemic. Fuck, it took me long enough, didn't it? You just talk to people over the internet, which I was trying to avoid. But it turns out it's actually really fun. I enjoyed that conversation with Luke, even though we're both in different countries. I think it works okay. So yes, more coming soon. Until then, take care, be safe, do whatever feels right, and don't be a dick. Nice one. See you later.